Hi guys, welcome to All Things Imposa. The Portfolio Committee of Higher Education was probing why do we have so many foreign nationals employed in our higher learning institutions. The stats were alarming. In some cases, there were more foreigners employed than black, Indian, and colored professors combined. Where are the South African professors? Is the Department of Higher Education failing South Africans? Are they doing the oversight on this issue, or is everything intentional?
About um, whether our institutions follow the law in acquiring the services of our brothers and sisters from across the globe in academia. At the beginning, we were misunderstood. What I would like to believe that we're misunderstood because there were people who wrote articles calling us academic xenophobia. We responded to them. Others, we had to tell them that they're not responding to the question, because from the onset we did indicate that we do support the policy framework on internationalization, but ours was: are we doing so? Are we doing the internationalization following the country's laws, especially the Employment Service Act and the Immigration Act? So those who wrote articles, I told them that they are just like I'm not an academic. But if I was an academic, I was going to give them 0 for the attempts. And some of them, very respectable people, including vice chancellors, who wrote opinion pieces responding to the question we had not asked. Our question from the onset was, are you following the laws when you are doing internationalization? They wrote, I think, about 4 or 5 articles telling us the importance of internationalization, instead of telling us if they are following the law. So if the question is, giving our view of, or giving our support on internationalization, in so doing, are you following the laws? And then when you answer, you want to convince us about internationalization, you get 0. You don't even get a DP to enter into an exam. So I told them, these ones, they are like I'm not an academic, because they were responding to the wrong question. I think currently they are understanding that we're on the same page, Minister, with them. About internationalization. I was just worried. Actually, they have sent us the stats. What is worrying is that at a few institutions, you have more foreigners than at least at professor level, than a combination of black, Indian, and colored combined at few institutions, which is extremely worrying. We've looked at them, Dr. Lewin, Prof. Lewin. UCT has got more foreign professors than blacks, Indian, and coloreds combined. Professor, we're still going through the proper statistics, because we want to, so far we've managed to look at the professor level, but it's not the only ones we're looking at. We also have the same, more foreign professors at University of Pretoria than blacks, Indians, and colored combined. We also have the same at University of Free State, more foreign national professors than blacks, Indians, and colored combined. We all, actually, if this happened 20 years ago, I'd understand, because that's when government introduced something called the National Research Foundation, NRF, to close this gap, where you had blacks, Indians, and colored who were not at that level because there was no funding. Government introduced funding to close this gap. 20 years later, the numbers have not improved. Government must be worried that you have put an investment to close the gap of South Africans who were not able to be hired at that level 20 years ago. And 20 years later, you have spent money, and the results are still the same. What is the point here? Is that we must be able to say, Prof. Lewin, is that fund that government put there bearing any fruits? Have we not produced enough South African professors to pitch at that level? I can tell you that we have. Now, the goalpost has moved. We have agreed that we must push people, we must put funds to put people at this level. And now that we have achieved that, we're not utilizing the investment that government has put in these people. The numbers, by the way, if I were just to extrapolate just one, make an example of UCT. When I say there's more foreign national professors than blacks, Indians, and colored combined, they might not tell a true story. Here's a true story, Honorable Dr. Christians. There's 39.3%, or there's 39.7% of professors are whites. 39.3% at UCT are foreign nationals, and only 22% are a combination of blacks, Indians, and coloreds. Almost double the number of professors at UCT are foreign nationals compared to a combination of blacks, Indians, and colored. Those are the stats that must shock all of us. But we are not shocked. We knew from last year. We knew when we asked these questions, when we suddenly got a text that there is an attempt for us not to see the statistics. We're still going through other numbers there. But almost 40% of professors at UCT are foreign nationals as compared to just above 20% of a combination of blacks, Indians, and color. And this is not us being xenophobic. This is us saying, government 20 years ago introduced a fund to close the gap of blacks, Indians, and colored to be at that level. Are we saying government continues to waste funds on a scheme called National Research Foundation if at least 4 institutions that I've told you about today, you still have more foreign national professors as compared to a combination? It's not only about blacks or about Indians or about colors, a combination of all of them, being almost half of those that are there. It's something that must shock us. But like I said, at least some of us were not shocked, but that is why we're here today. We do have...
Everybody in the department can decide who will answer the question. So, to the department, it is my position. I disagree with the interpretation of the minister around naturalized citizens having the same priority status as South Africans by birth when it comes to the employment and transformation aspect that our law wants to achieve for South Africans. So my position is that the Department of Higher Education are intentionally using the law to give foreign nationals jobs that South Africans are able to do and qualified to do. What is your response to that, department?
Honourable Souls, I seem to have been the one that is going to answer that very difficult question. So I think, and Chair as well, I think this is we are aware that the Employment Services Act is currently being discussed in Parliament, a new Employment Services Act. The current one makes no difference between South African citizens and permanent residents in terms of employment. So I think the current law and maybe the future law that's under discussion may be different. I think that's something that, again, which is why the legal advice is also very important in this. But and I can't speak on behalf of the department, but I can certainly speak in the universities. I don't think that there's any evidence that universities are intentionally using the law to give foreign nationals jobs. Why I would say that is because, and I can give you some of the data, and I think we discussed this at the beginning, it's not enough that we are doing Honourable Souls, but we do have a number of programs in the department that are looking at specifically developing academics in our own universities. The NGAP program, the Future Professors program. I've got some numbers if you want. We should have put it in the presentation, and maybe we need to provide that. But no, I think there's no evidence that there's an intentional purpose to do that at all.
So which law then, which section of the law are you using to appoint foreign nationals in positions that South Africans by birth qualify for?
Well, first of all, I don't know about the department. We don't employ people in universities. The universities do that themselves. But there is a law that says that permanent residents and citizens are equally available for appointment to positions. The proof that needs to be provided is if you are asking for a critical skills visa, you need to show that you have done adequate due diligence in appointing that post, that there was no South African available for that post.
So which law, before we come to the critical skills element, which law, which section says that?
Which section of which act? The Employment Services Act?
Whichever one you're using.
Well, let me clarify. I, as the DDG universities, am not involved in the employment of anyone
Yes,
in
but you're
any single
presenting
public
to
universities.
us. You're presenting to us, and
I'm
those-
trying to answer the question on behalf of the universities.
as it should be, because you're presenting to us.
Yeah.
So what is being used? You should know, because
No,
you
I
then
shouldn't.
supposed to question them if they are doing something that is outside of the law.
So, first of all, as you know, we don't have the data that says they are either breaking the law or they are not breaking the law. And that is precisely the discussion that we're having here. What is being presented here is that there is anecdotal information that universities may be, in some circumstances, not following the law. I do not have personally, as I sit here, any evidence of that whatsoever. So I cannot sit here and say to you comfortably, I'm absolutely 100% that there is no university that has not lapsed in appointing someone. But I can also equally say that as far as I am aware, universities are not deliberately, on purpose, doing these things as a matter of course. So I think, Honourable Saws, we do need to get the information, and the discussions that we've had here have been very useful in us looking at what we need to do to get better information. But
That's exactly my problem with the posture that the department takes. And that's the reason why qualified South Africans are being disadvantaged, because we take that posture. Let's look at the Employment Equity Act. The definition of designated groups, the people that the law wants you to prioritize. What is the definition of designated groups that must be prioritized in terms of the Employment Equity Amendment Act? That you should know, because that will inform you as to whether or not the universities are doing the right thing. What is the definition by law of the designated groups?
the designated groups in terms of the Employment Equity Act.
Yes, because if you have
People
now,
with disabilities, women, and black South Africans.
and carry on.
Those are the categories that I'm aware of.
That's partly, and that again is the reason why South Africans are being disadvantaged, because we have that posture. Let me read it to you. Is it okay?
Yeah, please.
Designated groups means, in terms of our law, black people, and in this context, black people includes black African, colored African, Indian African. We agree? Women and people with disabilities who, A, are citizens of the Republic of South Africa by birth or descent. B, became citizens of the Republic of South Africa by naturalization, then gives subsections to defining who the naturalized citizens are that's supposed to be considered as designated groups. 1, those before 27th April 1994. 2, or after 26th April 1994, and who would have been entitled to acquire citizenship by naturalization prior to that date, but were precluded by apartheid policies. That's our law. Do you see that, DJ?
Thank you. It's very helpful, thanks.
But let's talk about what it means.
Well, let's talk about it, Honorable Souls.
We're talking about it. What does it mean now? I'm showing to you. Our law says even naturalized South Africans does not have priority status as a South African by birth or descent has. The department has to prioritize South Africans by birth. Do we agree?
Yes, in terms of the Employment Equity Act, we do.
That's our law.
So is the Employment Services Act.
Read together. You can't separate the two.
You can't separate the
So
two,
when
but
you
there
read-
is contradiction.
Show me the contradiction. Show me the one that says that you should now overlook the South African by birth. Read it to me out of the Employment Services Act.
I will, but it's not about overlooking.
No, read it to
Honourable
me.
Source.
Read it to me.
You're trying to, the two have to work together. And
They are working together.
They may well
Let me
be,
show
but-
you how they work together.
Okay. In your view, how are they
No, it's not
working
my view.
together?
I'm going to share with you what the law says. Then you give me your view.
Okay.
They're not overlapping. They are agreeing. The department is using the law to prioritize foreign nationals over South African citizens by birth and descent. I'll show you.
Okay.
Employment Services Act says that when you employ a foreign national, before you do so, go look for a South African citizen by birth. And if you don't find one, then only you employ a foreign national. That's what the Employment Services Act says, correct?
This debate is beyond me. I just
not
have
debating.
advice. No, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not debating.
Yeah.
Neither am I. I'm also not a lawyer.
Well,
You
I
were
have a
f-
different.
you
I
were-
have something else that.
Please go ahead.
Sure. So what I have is something that is explained that is where the Employment Services Act defines a foreign national for employment purposes, and it says in express terms that a foreign national is an individual who is not a South African citizen, or does not have a permanent residence permit issued in terms of the Immigration Act. So that's the one interpretation of how the Employment Service Act defines foreigners that I have.
No, that doesn't change what we're just talking about. Unless you tell me how that changes and gives you the power to employ or allow universities to employ foreign nationals in positions that South Africans can do and are qualified for. How does that empower you? What you just read, how does it empower you to do so?
Honourable Souls, I'm not reading it as an empowerment.
Exactly,
in any
so
way.
it doesn't empower you. So now what must you
No,
do?
I have no power to employ anyone at any university.
You're supposed to use and enforce the law.
No, universities are institutions that have councils, and those are the ultimate employers of those institutions.
And not the law.
No, obviously they must employ in terms of the law.
Right, so what
which is
does
why
the-
we are having this discussion, which is how are we going to hold universities
Yes.
accountable for this?
And you do not hold them accountable for it. Do you know why? Because of how you interpret the law. Now I'm holding you accountable for your interpretation. And there's no ambiguity there. The law is clear. Before you employ a foreigner, go and look if there's a South African that can do the job. 1. 2, in terms of transformation, our law says we must prioritize South African citizens by birth. And even if you were naturalized South African, you are not on the same level of prioritization unless you were naturalized before 1994. And if you were naturalized after 1994, 26th of April, then you must be able to show that you were only deprived because of the apartheid laws before 1994. That's it. So even the stats you're showing to me here now, every single position on that table, you had to first make sure that there is no South African citizen that can do the job in terms of our law. We agree?
Thank you, Honourable Souls. I think we will definitely seek legal advice on that matter.
It's a very diplomatic response. No, you know, we are in a state in our country right now where you have people like Dr. Mpekwa, who qualifies, did not get a job, was occupied and given to a foreign national using these laws when our law protects her to get that position. So diplomacy is over. We need to make a conscious decision. We're going to put South Africans first. I put it to you. The department is using the law to give jobs to foreigners that are meant for South Africans and that they qualify for. I'll show you another way that you do that. I'm sorry that they chose you to be the one to respond to this. When When was the last time the department updated the critical skills list?
Not sure. I think it's the Department of Home Affairs. Do you know? 2024, apparently, according to my colleagues.
It's actually 2022, and they added emphasis in 2023. So 2026, we are still sitting with critical skills that was considered such in 2022. And what was considered as critical skills then? University lecturers. Whereas today, as we sit here in 2026, there are South African citizens by birth who qualifies to be lecturers. But it's considered a critical skill because the department did not update that list. Corporate managers, general managers is what's written on that critical skills list. And as a result, South African citizens are being disadvantaged. Let's take it further. Now that you have the critical skills list outdated and it's impacting South Africans by birth, then Home Affairs has a new system that they also gazetted, the point system, that says if you have 100 points, if you score 100 points as a foreign national, it says that you then, the employer, can waive Section 8 of the Employment Services Act that requires the employer to go first look for a South African citizen. Do you know about that, DDG? For the record, please. Yes. Now you're telling me. The mic is off.
Yes, you're telling me something now.
Are you saying you didn't know?
I was busy thinking about something else. Can you repeat the question?
Are you saying you didn't listen to me?
On the last thing, I missed what you said, yes. That is what I'm saying.
That means you didn't listen to me.
On the last point you made, I did not hear what you said, no.
It only means you didn't listen to me on the last point. Please listen to every point I make.
I'm trying. I'm also trying to formulate a response that I can give you.
In order for you to do
else.
that, you must know what I ask, because how would you respond if you don't know?
I'm still listening to some of the things you asked me before, Chair.
I'm done with that. I asked you a
I'm
question.
not done with it, though, Chair. I still have a response for you.
I'm the one who's limited by time.
So am I, sir. So am I, sir.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
It's me. So what
Please
I was...
go ahead with that question.
Are you playing the role of the chair now?
I don't want to lie to you.
Then
I've
just
told
admit you
didn't
don't know.
hear.
It's as simple as that. Just admit you don't know, so that you don't lie to me.
But I didn't hear what he said. What did he say?
Do you know or don't you know, DDG?
I did not hear what you are asking me, so I can't say truthfully if I know or don't know.
Yeah, so you didn't listen to me. That's the conclusion. So I'm going to repeat
I'm
myself.
happy to say I did not listen to you.
Correct. So please,
go ahead.
please do listen to us when we do speak to you. Please listen. So
Good.
here's the question. Repeat.
Repeat it.
Oh, sorry, Chair. As you were out, I observed that there was a bit of a dialogue in between the responses and stuff, and I don't think it would be fair if we'd want to have such. I think we should just have a decorum and order in terms of the answering and not answering. If there's failure not to answer, there's a procedure to follow, which is to have a written question so that we can properly clarify. So I was saying we should avoid the dialogue and the interactive that is not assisting, because it will create the tension while we are not working together on the sensitive matter. Thanks.
Okay, Honorable Souls.
Chair, I do agree with Honorable Low. However, for that to happen, I need to know whether the question was heard, and then why there's no response if the question was heard. But now that we know that the question wasn't listened to, I will indulge the DDG and repeat the question. DDG, do you know that foreign nationals are required by the Employment Services Act? The employer that wants to employ them must first go look whether there's a South African citizen. But because of the point system of Home Affairs, once they score 100 points, the employer can now legally waive that requirement and doesn't have to go look whether there's a South African citizen. And how he scores 100 points, he or she scores 100 points, is they only have to prove that the position that they will hold is on the critical skills list. So an unupdated critical skills list is a problem, but if that person is on the critical skills list, he gets automatic 100 points. Once he has that, the employer, universities, does not have to fulfill Section 8 of the Employment Services Act to go look for a South African. That person automatically gets employed. Do you know about that?
No, Chair, honourable member, I'm not aware of the detail around the points, no, and how it actually plays out in practice, no.
What are you aware of?
I'm aware that there are certain criteria that one has to fulfill as an employer to show that you have taken certain steps to make sure that you have been able to search for particular candidates.
Do you know how that gets waived? That's what we're talking about. You listened now.
You've told me that there's a point system,
Did you know
and it's
about it?
related to the critical skills list.
Did you
Thank
know
you very
about
much.
it?
No.
Exactly. It's a simple response. Simple
Yes.
response. You just had to say you didn't know. And the fact that you don't know as the department, that is what universities are using to keep jobs from qualified South Africans.
Chair, that may well be the case. I'm not disputing you. What I would like to say, and what I was thinking about when you asked me the question that I did not hear, was that I would also like to say, Honourable Sauls, that one example or one anecdote does not make a systemic problem. And I think part of the discussion we're having here today is that we do not have the level and detail of information to either, for me to defend against that, to say I am confident that no universities are doing what you say they are doing. I can't say that for sure, but I equally cannot say the opposite, which is the declaration that I think you are making, which is that there's a systemic problem. And that's the only thing I did want to say, Honourable Sauls, that one anecdote or two anecdotes does not make a systemic problem. But I am not in any way saying that our posture should be one that dismisses this as not a serious issue. We are here for the second time in 4 months discussing this issue because the country is taking it very seriously. So I think from a department side, there's a lot more we need to do. And therefore, I would agree with you that we need to do more. That's my answer.
Chair, I'll close with this. It's systemic. What's in front of us shows that it is. 140 naturalized citizens. In terms of what we've just read, that should potentially have been South Africans by birth. It's systemic. And if we take the position that it is, then we can start asking, how do we change it? Then we start being intentional about saying, we will put South Africans by birth and descent first. We will use the approach that the law allows us to use to employ foreign nationals because we want foreign nationals to be in our institutions, but not at the expense of South African citizens by birth. That's not just wrong. That's evil. Thank you, Chair.
No, thanks. Maybe try and help me understand if I heard correctly. When you started, Honourable Sauls, you said naturalized South Africans don't or are not supposed to enjoy the same rights as South Africans by birth. Did I hear correctly?